Hey, you clicked this video because you are interested in learning more about how to launch your brand or grow a brand that you've already launched. And you might be a solopreneur, an entrepreneur who's all alone, doing this all on your own, or you might have a small team. But regardless, you're interested in growing your business, launching or growing your business, and scaling your business. And I'm here to help you. I want to show you the two most critical frameworks that you need to know based off of where you're at in growing your brand. I'm Tony. If you don't know me, I'm an investor, an entrepreneur, and a content creator based on the East Coast in the US. And I have had 15 years of experience launching businesses and growing my own businesses and servicing clients, servicing hundreds of clients, launching their own businesses and growing their own brands. And I've seen the good, I've seen the bad. I know what works right now. And right now, on this video, I think the most simple thing to do is to identify, one, what category you're in terms of business growth. Are you just starting, or have you already started and you're looking to scale? So that's the first step. And I'm going to categorize those two, either in the beginner phase or I would call the growth phase. And so if you haven't done a single sale yet, we'll say this is someone who just has an idea and they need to make their first dollar selling whatever it is they're selling, whether it's a digital product, a physical product, a good, could be, a storefront, a service, whatever it may be. And you haven't yet made $1. Maybe you have a hobby or a knack for something or talent for something, and you want to make money doing this thing or selling this item, but you haven't yet done so. I think it's first important to understand where you're at. You haven't made $1, so you need to know if what you have is desirable, if the market needs or wants what you have. And there's a famous saying, the riches are in the niches. I think it's super important to have a specialty, but if you're too niche, if your specialty is too finite, you're not going to have a large pool in the market of consumers to support your endeavor, or at least it will be more difficult to grow your endeavor. So a really good example of something that works is something that's always needed. Funerals, people are always dying. Necessities, barbershops, hair salons, people are always caring about their looks. Wedding photographers, people are always getting married. It might vary in terms of how many people are getting married, but people are always getting married. So when you're thinking about, is my product or service desirable? You have to look at the greater scale of things, the greater scheme of things. And if you're too niche, if your specialty is too finite, you might not find success, and it might not have anything to do with you or your product. It might just be the fact that there are way fewer people who are willing to pay for what you have. If that makes sense. My suggestion, if you haven't yet made a single dollar, is to however you prefer to do your own research and figuring out, is this a desirable thing? Now, if it's a very common thing, like a few of the things that I mentioned, like wedding photography, hair salon, barbershop, funeral home, like if those things are like necessity / commodity / essentials, right? If those things are always around and they're always going to be around, then you could say, okay, this is kind of a safe play because people are already making money doing this. And I think that's actually a really good way to think about it. If there's a lot of people already making a lot of money doing something, then you can go get a piece of that pie. It's a really good way to think about it. So if you're starting your own photography business or home service business or coffee shop or a restaurant, whatever it is, those are things that people are already making money doing. Now, location is going to vary. Your success is going to vary based off your location, right? You open a high scale restaurant in the middle of Timbuktu, West Virginia, like you're not going to have that many customers, especially due to the population size and maybe the median income range of the people who do live nearby. So there's a few factors you need to keep in mind, but you want to keep it simple. Figure out if people are already spending money on what you have to offer, and then go make that money, right? Just do a few sales. Or if you're a service-based business, get a few clients and get some feedback from them. Even if you're working for free, some people will hate me for saying that, but I think working for free is the fastest way to generate a boatload of clients, because you show your value and then you can then claim your worth after you deliver your value. For example, if you have the choice between working for $0 or $500 for, I don't know, like say you're doing some landscaping and you're like, oh, it'll take $500. Materials are like maybe $450 for whatever this client wants. And you're going to be taking some time, but you undercut your labor and you don't equate for all of the business operating expenses. So you just want to get the deal. And I'll get the deal at $500. And then next time they want me, I'll let them know this is actually a $5,000 gig. I'll let them know that. If they get hit with that $5,000 gig the second time, they're going to be like, what is this? And you'll be like, well, I cut you a deal. And they're going to be like, whoa, that doesn't make any sense. So if you were to the first time do that work for free, you could then come back and say, if you're interested in working with me again in the future, this is actually the going rate. And if you impress them enough, if you showed your worth enough, I have personally seen that is a true formula to then create a huge stack of recurring revenue with repeat clients. Not everyone agrees with that. Not everyone has the same experience. But bottom line is, if you have a service, if you have a product, you first need to get an idea of if this will even sell. Once you start making some money, you need to see basically if you can manage the business with a little bit of growth. So once you start making some money, I would then say you're in this category that needs to focus on your digital presence. So what do I mean by that? I've come across too many individuals, small businesses, solopreneurs, freelancers that are kind of trapped in this $0 to $25,000 range, and they can't break out of it. And then I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on. Like, let's see what's happening. And I simply go do like a basic digital presence audit, right? I go on Google and I search their brand name or business name, and I look and see what pops up. 9 times out of 10, at least in my experience, no one pops up for the person that I'm looking for. Like, where are you? Where are you? If you're a local service, you know how to Google my business? That's extremely simple to set up. You could do it in one day. It doesn't take the whole day. You just do it. You can have it on your to-do list when you wake up and it'll be done by the time you go to sleep. No Google My Business account. I'm looking for a website and, they don't have their own personal domain name, www. whatever their brand name is. Or maybe they have one and it's like a janky ghetto Walmart version of some subdomain from a free. I get it when money's tight, like you got to do what you got to do. Like, I'm not going to hate, but spend $20 on a freaking domain name. Spend $20. You can GoDaddy always have domain names like for sale for 2 years or 3 years. You can get it for like $22, $40, whatever. I don't know. It's not like, find that money for the domain name. That's your digital storefront, right? And then I go on social media and they either don't have accounts at all, or they're not posting at all, or they have a low frequency of posts. So I'm looking and I'm like, I'm hearing you guys say I don't know how to break through this $25,000 range. I don't know why people aren't taking me seriously. Because you're not taking yourself seriously. You don't have a website. You're not on Google. You don't have socials. Come on. These are simple things. So you're stuck in this digital presence thing. And I would actually even call this like this is like wearing pajamas. This is like wearing pajamas to a job interview. I would be that drastic to call it that. I would never hire someone who shows up to a job interview in pajamas. I interviewed someone once for one of my businesses, and she showed up to the interview in pajamas. I thought it was a joke. I remember my sister was on site at the time, and she thought it was a homeless person. If you're homeless and you don't got a tire to wear to a job interview, I give you credit for landing the job interview and then attending your job interview. But this girl was not homeless. She was fine. She just did not have she didn't have the awareness, right? So I'm here to tell you, have the awareness that this stuff right here, this range, is the only thing separating you from dropping down here into this higher income range is your digital presence. That's the beginning, right? That's step one. You need your digital presence intact. Now, I'm not saying you can't make more money with no digital presence. I just landed a client this upcoming year. They're a publicly traded client, and they got 50 plus employees. It's a lot of payroll. That's a lot of money in payroll, and they're slinging millions and millions of revenue left and right, millions and millions in expenses left and right, and they had a site, but it wasn't updated since the 80s, right? And they don't have socials, and they weren't on Google. So I'm not saying you can't make money without this stuff, but this is, in my experience, the absolute easiest way to get through that barrier here. So step one, if you're stuck in this barrier and you're trying to launch your brand and make some money, figure out if it's gonna make money first. And then second, just get your digital stuff live, right? Just get your suit on. Get your interview outfit on. Stop wearing pajamas. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's pathetic. Wear clothing that makes you feel confident and that sells for you. Okay. Now, I can confidently say that for the most part, if you're scaling your brand and you're making between $25,000 and $250,000. You're solo, maybe you got a small team, maybe you got a few employees, whatever it is. If you're growing your brand, there's absolutely only one thing that's stopping you from accelerating your growth. I know I'm pointing down, usually you grow up, but accelerating your growth in terms of revenue can be solved by absolutely one thing. Did you guess it? It's content creation. Content creation, photo production, video production, audio production, whatever you want to classify media in general, that's content creation. That's posting on social media, posting things on social media, producing and distributing it on social media. That is it. That's literally it. That is it. And so there's levels to the content creation challenge. Level 1 is frequency. Can you figure out how to publish once a day for an entire year? That's step 1. Can you figure that out? So 1, are you frequently showing up? Frequently showing up. Can you do it? Now, that's not enough. Once you get to a certain point, frequently showing up is not enough. I was working with a business we did branding for a year ago, and they have a website. And again, another multi-million-dollar company that has hundreds of employees and do really good work. They have a lot of assets. They have they're doing great business, but they wanted more business. And I pulled up their social media. They were frequently posting, but what the flip were they posting? Stupid, I don't know. It makes me bleh, thinking about it. Those AI, not AI generated, because AI generated kind of works now, but think 2015 to 2025, you go on say Canva and you look for like a happy Thanksgiving post, right? If you study social media long enough, you'll see like there's only a few platforms that everyone's using, and then they all use the same generic like go-to things for like holidays. And then you'll be like, oh, like that was the bare minimum they could have done, which, okay, good job, you're doing the bare minimum, but you need to take it a level up. So being frequent isn't enough if your content screams, oh yeah, like think like stock footage or like stock photos. If you're posting stock footage and stock photos and like generic templates of like happy Thanksgiving, that's not going to move the needle. I would argue that you should just not post if that's what you're doing. You need a frequent amount of posts, but they should be organic and real, and it should feel like you're interacting with an actual someone or something, not nothing. I don't know how else to explain it. So you need to have an awareness that what you post, that you need to have a high frequency of posting, but what you post matters. And there's an argument like quality, quantity. Like people argue high volume works versus overthinking and posting less at a higher quality. But then there's people who think, oh no, you need to post less, a higher quality, not a higher volume of crappy stuff. I would argue that it's probably balanced. I would argue that you need a high frequency of above average content. Not the best content. You need a high frequency of above average content. And I'll call average content like the stock stuff, stock photo, stock video, like template stuff. So if you're in this 25,000 and up range, you're trying to break through some barriers here, audit and figure out if you're posting frequently. Are you posting frequently? If you're not, that's an easy thing to just figure out. Then you need to figure out, what is the quality of what we're posting? Get an idea. If you have been posting frequently and it's all been like the stock stuff, sorry to offend you, but if it's all been like that stuff, like level up. If you're a restaurant, post pictures of your facility, of your establishment, of your team, of your product, of your menu items. Get someone to shoot, B-roll on their phone of reels. Just short little vertical videos of your menu items, of your establishment, of the vibes in your space. If you're a salon, shoot your team, shoot, before and afters of, have someone dedicated to just have your salon, your stylists in charge of capturing their own media and sharing it to whoever's in charge of publishing it or publishing it on their own so that you can, from the business account, repost it. If you're a coffee shop, same as the restaurant, photo and video of your product, your menu items, your establishment, the vibes, right? That's above average. That's connecting with an actual business that has an actual personality with actual people working and doing business inside of it, right? If you're a local service business, capture, whomever is servicing the work. If it's just you, if you're, pressure washing the side of the home, or, you're installing rooftops, you're cutting down trees, set up your phone to time lapse you doing it, or hire someone to come out, a videographer in your area to come out and shoot drone footage of you doing work, shoot time lapses, like lean on people who do media full time, lean on them, figure out how to get people to record you doing your service. If you're a service-based business, if you're a service business and you don't have a lot of jobs lined up and you're like, I can't capture this stuff because there's nothing going on, that's a real problem. I understand that. You have to think outside the box. And so one thing that I'll always recommend today is if you're at a loss for ideas, then you need to turn to AI. Okay? If you're at a loss for ideas, you need to turn to AI. Chat, Gemini, Grok, Claude, Perplexity. They're all here, they're all here. These are absolutely, sorry, I was just reading a text message. This is the absolute best thing that could have happened to you as a business owner, growing your brand, growing your business, this tool is the absolute best idea generation tool that you could have in 2026. And there's no reason you should ever run out of ideas at all. So a really good example of how you can apply this is a contractor I saw on X posted an example of how he didn't have any jobs lined up. So he wanted a new idea of getting engagement on his social accounts. And I think this contractor did like masonry or like hardscaping, like renovating backyards, stone, brick, cement, like that kind of stuff. And he thought outside the box and he's like, you know what? I've seen some of this content posted online of like time lapses of like home renovations happening. So it's like, what if I did that for exterior renovations, like my hardscaping stuff? And what if I created an account that was just like AI generated content? And what if I got a lot of followers and a lot of engagement and then began to plug my own service-based business details or posts or whatever in there? He's thinking outside the box, right? So he went into Grok and AI generated text to image, AI generated images of before and after, home renovations. Then I'm pretty sure he dropped the images into Nano Banana, is it? And then turned the images into videos. And then he used a third software, which I don't remember what it was, but he then turned videos into time lapses. So the before and afters were then seamless time lapses, which included the service individuals doing the work, like doing the actual work. So this guy had this idea. He's like, I got to do something while I don't have any business going on. And I'll generate some traction, generate some views. That way I can advertise and plug and create a brand. It's just a random AI brand that then feeds eyeballs to my own business. And so he started publishing this content with the goal of in a few months to have 1,000, 2,000 followers and some good 10,000 views, 100,000 views, literally whatever. And in 2 weeks, he had 500,000 followers across TikTok and Instagram. It was like 300 something on TikTok, 200 something on Instagram. And he's getting tens and tens and tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of views on every video he was posting. Every single one of them. That took, I don't know, probably took him I would guess a few hours to make the first few and figure it out. And then maybe an hour to make the next few. And then probably a half an hour to make the next few. And then probably minutes to make the rest. Because he kind of just he had a flow. So he was a home service business. He was a service-based business that didn't have anything to create, but thought outside the box. He utilized AI. I don't know if it helped him think of the idea, but either way, he utilized AI to execute the idea. And now he's generating a crack ton of views and engagement with the AI generated content that then he'll then be able to put his own real organic work of stuff that people already enjoy seeing, exterior renovation stuff, and will potentially land some sales. We don't know if he will. He might not. But you got to try. You got to act you got to be like an evil scientist, like a mad scientist with your ideas. And it's not enough to just sit and wallow in your sorrow and say, woe is me. There's nothing I can do about my situation. You don't deserve to be a business if that's your kind of mindset. And you always need to be adapting. Going back to the level of where you might be. If you're in this 25,000 to 250K range, I truly believe that content creation is the only thing separating you from breaking through those ceilings of revenue goals, of new revenue ceilings. And content creation in terms of frequency and quality are the things that are holding you back from that growth. So is it frequent and is it above average in quality? If you can solve that, which is not that difficult, like I said, to solve it, especially when you lean on AI for idea generation, the only thing left is the doing it part, right? You want to plan what you have to do, then just do it. Just experiment and do it. Do it for 15 days, 30 days, 45 days, and look at the difference. I can tell you, as a matter of fact, I can literally show you the analytics of my local service businesses. And there's a direct correlation between the frequent quality of posts that we make on social and the sales that come from it. Especially our storefront in Jim Thorpe, our creperie. There's a direct correlation between the social media posts and the frequency and the quality and the revenue that comes in. So you need to be thinking outside the box on how to execute this plan. And I have a 7-day boot camp, a 7-day content creation boot camp on planning this, using AI to help you plan and execute 12 months of posts, which is 365 days of posts. And there's levels to it, figuring out what you're going to post based off of the industry you're in and the niche you're in. There was this client, I was talking to that she was in a super, super niche situation where all of her work was generated, all of her sales were basically generated through Pinterest. And that was something new to me at the time. I was learning how to help her out the best way I could. But there's only learning that's standing between you and higher revenue, right? So if you're trying to launch your brand and you haven't made any dollars yet, get your suit on, get your digital presence in check. If you're past the point of, I've started this business, I have a website, I have social, and I'm making money, and you're just looking to grow and scale, then focus on content creation. And content creation solves the problem of marketing and sales. Marketing and sales cures all in business. The more marketing you distribute, the more sales you'll have. The correlation is true across every industry. So the more people that know that you exist, that your product or service exists, the higher probability there are of more people purchasing your product or your service, especially if it's a good product, especially if it's a good service, especially if there are great testimonials, especially if there's a lot of already happy customers. So that content creation problem that's stopping you from getting past that 250K. And by the way, this is net. I didn't clarify that, but this is net. I don't think it really matters if you're making $25,000 and spending $25,000. I think you have a different problem if that's happening. But if you're profiting 25K, that's when you could start thinking. If you're profiting 100K, that's when you could start thinking. And if you have that profit, you should be pushing that kind of profit towards your content creation, because it's going to compound and it's going to snowball. This is literally just a quick framework. You're either you're in one of these two categories. You're either in this, if you're just launching your brand, you're in this, do people even want this stage? Or people kind of want it, and I need to get to this $25,000 in profit range. Most times, all you need to figure out is your social, your digital, your whatever. Now, there could be some rare occasions where this is all in check, your digital presence is in check, and you're still trapped, right? Then you could honestly just accelerate to the second category, which is your content creation phase. And you need to be thinking like a content creator, or partner with someone or hire someone that's thinking like a content creator. You either have the time or the money, or you don't have both and you're kind of screwed. But you need to either put in some sweat equity if you don't have the money, or you need to cough up the dough to people who can help you grow. And that's honestly my best suggestion. So if you want to learn more about what I suggest for content creation, I have, like I said, a 7-day boot camp where I walk you through a 12-month plan using AI tools, a 12-month plan. And then you actually get bumped into my community where I'll personally be holding you accountable, because I like to see results. So I'll be checking in regularly to see where you are, and you can ask me questions based off of things that are happening live, and I'll be able to give you my input and say, hey, I see you're posting frequently, but the quality doesn't look that great. Maybe try this. There's not too many variables when it comes to content creation. Once you figure that out, you'll be able to do this in no problem. I believe in you because, I figured it out. And trust me, if I could figure it out, I know that you could figure it out. So if you're looking to launch your brand, I hope that this helped. If you're looking to scale your brand, I hope that you understand now that content creation is the absolute only thing separating you from from massive growth. And now I speak mostly on this section because most of my personal businesses are in the, towards the top of this range. I don't have too much, $1 million profit revenue experience at all yet, but hopefully I do one day and I'll be able to help more people out. But for now, this is all I really know. If you want to learn more about that bootcamp, just comment content creation. I'll have someone from my end reach out to you and give you a link to sign up for that. It's 7 videos. Just watch a video a day. It's pretty easy. And then you get bumped into my community. You'll be able to chat with me and ask me questions whenever you need. And yeah, I'm hoping to help you out. And I'm hoping that this helped you. When you clicked on this, you were, trying to figure out, how do I launch my brand? What do I need to do? What kind of things do I need in place? I hope that this answers your question. This is what I've seen. Multiple people every single day for 15 years. They have this problem here, right? If they're in this stage. And if they're in this stage, they have this problem here. I would say a majority of people will be able to walk away from this video and say, okay, I know what I need to focus on. Now, if you didn't get the answers you were looking for here, if you watched to this point and you didn't get the answers you were looking for here, comment more and someone from my team will reach out to you. Maybe we can schedule an individual personalized call where we can really go in and dive in, really strategize on what's going on in your business. Maybe you are applying all these things, right? And you're not making squat. There might be other things that we'll have to figure out. But either way, thanks for watching. Tune in next time.